welcome back to episode 9 of the Simulator Chat series. Got a special edition this week, Masters Week, so I decided to go to the simulator, and recently they installed a secondary software, and with this software you can play Georgia National is what it's called, because they don't have the licensing rights to call it Augusta, but it's the Masters course, it's Augusta National. And I decided it'd be fun and entertaining to set the simulator to the hardest settings I can. So I set it to forced realistic. All these settings, by the way, you can see at the end of the video. Below the scorecard, it has all the settings I put it to. But I put it to forced realistic. I set the stimp to 13, I believe it was. I don't know what the actual Masters is rolling at, but I set it to, I think you could go up to 15 on the simulator. I set it to 13. I know that's what a lot of the professional courses are rolling at. And then I'm also playing from the tips, which I believe the yardage in the simulator is actually a little bit further than the yardage of the actual course this week at the Masters. That's based on ESPN, so could be wrong, but this is going to be a lot of up and down. So I'm going to talk mainly about the video this time and less about just other topics. I'm just going to talk about how my game felt during the round, just some cool things about the simulator, just kind of talk about the round itself. So on the first hole here, hit a decent drive, had a basically layup with a hybrid. I don't use a 3-wood because I don't hit 3-woods very well, but I also don't have a good 3-wood in my bag, so that could be part of it. But you're going to watch me, I think I 4-putt this hole. The putting, first of all, I haven't putt on a simulator in probably 4 or 5 months. I don't think simulator putting is perfectly accurate to begin with, but when you add in the speed of these greens and the realism that I set the conditions of the simulator to, it was really difficult to putt. I had at least I think 1 6-putt. I had a couple 5s, and I feel like as a high handicap golfer, someone who's hitting in that 25 handicap range like me, that is what I would expect to do if I actually played Augusta for real. So just as a baseline information for everyone, if this is your first episode or just in general, when I do the simulator chat series on the traditional simulator and set it to just, I don't even change the settings on the system when I show up. It's set to whatever the base settings on the system are, and I just play it. I typically shoot around, I just hosed one out to the right there when on hole number 2. But I typically set the simulator to play from the white tees, and I don't really putt. When I do putt, I think I've gone as low as 6 over at the simulator, and I'm usually in that 12 to 18 over range, so anywhere from half bogey golf to bogey golf for a round. I just played an outdoor round this past weekend, and I think I shot 1 or 2 over what would have been bogey golf for the round. So I'm typically in, and that was a shorter course, by the way, so disclaimer there. Actually, no, I think I shot worse than that. I think I shot about 28 over, so more like bogey and a half golf, bogey and double bogey every hole, just about. I had a couple pars and a birdie mixed in there, but I also had a 9 on a hole because I put it in the water twice. The ups and downs traditionally that come from playing around as a high handicap golfer. But so typically I'm shooting in the 12 to 18 range when I'm playing on the simulator, so we're going to see what I shoot here. Here on the third hole, after the first hole, I became very timid around the greens with wedges. I just wanted to barely, unless I was chipping uphill, I wanted to just barely get the ball on the green because these things were rolling. And you're going to see in some of these shots, I'll hit it and the ball will just keep going on the green. I actually think we're going to see it here on this one. But hole number 4 here, 242-yard par 3. I was tempted to hit driver on this hole because I know I wasn't going to get there with a 4-iron, or 4 hybrid, but opted to lay up. with the 4 hybrid, there was a lot of room in front where I could put myself in maybe a decent position to get a second shot in there. I thought I hit a great shot here and just hit a hard kick right on this green, bounced right into the bunker, so a little bit unfortunate there. And then I somewhat shanked this bunker shot. I think it worked out because of the lie in the bunker I was in, but now again I'm leaving myself with like a 35-foot downhill putt here. Not the positions I want to be leaving myself in here. As you can see, I barely tapped that, so the screen, so look at how the ball just keeps trailing off. So like I became very hesitant on the greens, but the screen is 14 feet from where you would normally hit the putts from. So they always say, like, as a gauge when you go to the simulators, that when you're putting, just think about the fact that if you're hitting a 14-foot putt, you want to roll it to just get to the screen. I barely got that last putt to the screen, and the putt went 45 feet. That just tells you how quick they're rolling here. So I think at this point, I'm now on hole 5. I started to really struggle hitting my driver from here through the rest of the round, and there was definitely some holes where I didn't even go with driver where I probably could have. I don't know what it was today. I don't know if it was because I was trying to play quick. I booked the simulator for an hour, and by the time I got everything set up, I got a little bit of a late start, so I was rushing a little bit. Plus, I was playing around for 10 minutes in the beginning trying to get the settings right. And then when you factor in the putting, it just takes longer in general. So I don't know if it was that I was rushed. This was also after I worked a full day. This was like 7, 8 o'clock at night on a weekday. So maybe a little fatigue was here, but I just didn't feel like I was swinging my clubs in general very well. I had some holes where I really struck the ball well, and I made great contact, whether it was a wedge, a couple drives in the first couple holes, irons, mid and long irons. I was hitting well, but ultimately, like, my driver became a complete liability on the course here. So here I'm on hole number 6. I think this was probably the best shot I hit of the day. If not, it was top 2. So this was a longer, like 180, 190 yard par 3, and I put it here to about 8 feet. So giving myself a birdie look here after doubling just about every hole before, or quads, and I was able to knock in for a birdie. But if I missed that putt, if that didn't hit the cup, that would have gone right off the green and I would have been chipping again. So I'm already 11 over through 6 holes. Not the look that you want, but like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm typically playing in the 12 to 18 over range when I play with the normal simulator settings. I should have said this disclaimer in the beginning. I've been posting these videos on TikTok and YouTube Shorts, so if you've already kind of seen some of the clips of it, this is a little bit of a repeat, but I do know that this is at a simulator. I'm hitting off of a mat, and I'm hitting off of a flat lie every time, so I'm playing in ideal conditions. So whatever I shoot during this round, if I was actually playing at Augusta, you could probably add 50% more strokes to it. So if I say I shoot 30 over, if I played an actual round on the course, I'm probably shooting 45 over, which I think it's like par 72, I think it is. I believe it's par 72. Which means at 45 strokes over on a par 72, I'm shooting close to 130. So yeah, I think I would probably shoot close to 130. Easily 50 to 60 strokes over, I think I would go if I played from the tips with the course in actual tour conditions. But back here to the simulator, I'm 8th hole here. Again, like, as the round went on, I wasn't hitting the ball as well as I ideally would have liked to. I'm going to get back out here and play the Masters course again. Just see what I can do second time around. I do think the simulator here, this software, it's a little different than the prior software, so I think the chipping and the putting, it's a little different feel. and just getting used to that took a little bit of time, because I feel like when I was hitting some wedges or some irons, I'm like, I thought that should have gone a little further, or maybe it went further than I was expecting it to. I don't know. Just like the different systems react differently. But on the last hole here of the front 9, and I end up clipping the tree here and bouncing out to the right. But that was for my second shot. I was trying to go a little bit low and a little further left to see if I could kind of really punch it through down the other fairway to give myself a clean look into the green, but ended up keeping it in the ball a little too far right and clipping the tree. But we got about 120 in here to this flag. This is another really good shot that I had. That's what I was saying. I think the par 3 that I stuck it to 8 feet, even though this one was from 6 feet, that par 3 was 70 yards further out, and I ended up blowing the putt here anyways. So I feel like these were probably that one and the par 3, definitely 2 of my better shots. So as I kind of mentioned here on the 10th hole, I topped this driver. This thing just rolled out forever down this hill. But this just goes back to the initial point that I made early on, which is my driver, it just fell off. Like I was watching videos throughout the week of some tweaks to like your swing. So like I typically, when I hold the club, interlock my fingers, and I try to turn my forearms in a little bit, so I'm like looking down my forearms, but I tend to hit fades and slices more. And I saw that if you want to fix your fade or your slice, you should rotate your right arm, like open it a little bit so you're looking more at the inside of your arm and not the outside of your forearm. And it really threw me off. In this current weekend, I went out and played outside, like I kind of mentioned before, and I was not thinking about it as much, and I actually was driving the ball pretty well. And then like halfway through, I was like, oh, like I should be focusing on like turning my right arm a little bit more, and I just lost the driver again. So I think I'm just going to stick with what I've been doing with the driver for the time being. I got to definitely get to the range. The weather's starting to finally get a little bit nicer out now that we're in early April still, early to mid-April. Weather's starting to get a little nicer, so I'll be able to get to the range after work a little bit more and just get some more practice in, and definitely need to prioritize the driver. I feel like I'm decent with striking the ball with mid and long irons, and that part of my game's come a long way, but I still have a lot to work on with, getting a little more distance off the tee and staying a little more accurate off the tee to put myself into better positions, so then I can take that strength, which is like my mid to long iron game, which I feel like, and have myself in a good position to utilize that to then shoot lower scores. I will say that in the round I played this past weekend, I played better than my score indicates. I was used to putting on the simulator with the 13 stimp, and I left every single putt that I had short. Like significantly short. Like I was hitting 20-foot putts 10 feet, and I talked about it in I think one of the first episodes of the Simulator Chat series, that I focus more on putting now. So I get down, I line my putt up, I have a line on my ball, and I usually line that up with where I want to aim, and then I just hit the ball straight on that line. But I talked about before, like I need to be more confident in hitting my putts when I'm outside. And I think playing this round of the simulator really threw me off. So here on the 12th hole, par 3, one of the more difficult holes on the course, I ended up bailing out left. It's funny, I saw a dispersion of how like right-handed hitters play this hole, and you're either on the part of the green that I'm at, or you risk going short and playing it to that right side. End up duffing a chip there. Again, I didn't want this thing to play it long and roll into the water. So I was playing this a little conservatively, but I think I was a little too conservative with those 2 opportunities, which ultimately led me to, as I lip out there, it led to me, I believe, doubling this hole, which I'll take that. Not a if I wasn't playing with the realistic conditions and the settings, obviously I would have wanted a better score there, but definitely happy with, bogeys and double bogeys during this round, considering I was coming in expecting to shoot a very high score to begin with. But yeah, I'll probably, like I kind of mentioned before, definitely get back to the simulator and play it again. It was a lot of fun. And in about a month, we have the PGA Championship, which is at Aronimink. I'm actually going to be going to that. I'll be traveling to go to that. I was able to get tickets online. And this simulator actually has Aronimink too, so I'm going to do something similar around the PGA Championship. Go play Aronimink on the hardest settings, and just see how I shoot on the course. But overall, I feel like I played well. There was a lot of factors that came in that, like I said, trying to tweak my swing a little bit, doing a little things that kind of threw me off. So I think I want to get back and try it again and see what I shoot. But already about 16 minutes into this video. Got about, I'm hitting my one or two more putts here on hole 13. But I am recording this on Masters Sunday. It's a little before 1 p.m. So the leaders haven't teed off yet, but I'm just curious I'm excited to watch these last couple rounds. You have Rory, who came out to a hot start in the first two rounds, and then he was one of the only guys in the top half of the field that didn't shoot under par in round number 3. You had Scotty Scheffler, who came out, and Cam Young, who both posted -7s. One has Cam has a share of the lead, and Scotty, I think, is like 5 or 6 back. But I think we're gonna have an exciting final round here. We have 2 guys at 11 under, a guy at 10, a handful of people in that 7 to 9 range. There's a lot of people with a lot of the players have an opportunity to, have these big days today and find themselves in a position to compete for that green jacket. But I think if I had to pick someone, I know he's top in the world, but I would want to see Scotty win, just because he had such a rough first 2 rounds. I'm pretty sure he was even par after 2 rounds, if I remember correctly. Then to go 7 under, and if he's able to come back, it'd have to be one of the greatest comebacks in not only just Masters history, but in a major golf tournament, any golf tournament really, in the history of the golf tournaments. And that'll give him his 3rd green jacket. I always talk with people I don't have favorites when I watch golf. I really watch the majors. I'm not watching all the small events and the smaller tour events. I'm typically watching the big ones like the Ryder Cup. I'm watching the 4 majors. Those are the ones that I get excited to watch. And I don't really have a guy that I'm constantly rooting for. I would like to see a guy like Jason Day make a run today. I think that'd be really, really cool to see him win. Hovland, as I'm filming this, Hovland's playing out of his mind right now. I don't know if that's changed at all, but I know he had I think it was 7 and 9 or 6 and 8. He almost holed out twice for eagle from the middle of the fairway, not right off the green. He's on pace to, I think he shot a 31 on the front 9, so he's on pace to go really low today if he keeps that up. But I also think that the conditions of the course, based on what the players have been saying, I think they're going to get more challenging as the day goes on. They're going to get a little more firm, and you're not going to have as many scoring opportunities. Scotty talked about it after his 3rd round. He said he put himself in a position after going 5 under on the front. He put himself in a lot of scoring positions on the second 9. But the problem was he said that the course it got firmer, it got more fast, and it was definitely more difficult. And I thought it was funny. The guy asked that. The reporter asked that question at the end, what do you think you could have had today? You shot a 65, and he was like, that is a stupid question. That's a terrible question. He's like, next question. I'm not answering that. But briefly back here to the round. Just posted a 10 on the last hole here on 16, another one of the famous par 3s. And this is another one of my better shots of the day. Opted for hybrid. Figured I was comfortable with being long, but the way that I was hitting the ball, I wasn't having the distance that I would have liked. I think it was about 22 feet from the hole. So anytime I'm on the green from the tips on a par 3, I will take it. I mean, you're talking, most of these par 3s are playing every bit of 175 to 250 yards, depending on which hole it is. And if I'm able to get to the green, I'm more than happy with that performance. But we only got a couple holes here left. I'm currently 29 over. So the question is, will I stay at 29 over? Will I go under a little bit? Or can I break 30? Well, I think that kind of answers that question right there. I hit a great shot. I thought that was going to stay under those trees and carry down the left side and find a little bit of an opening, and I just hit one of the trees. And I think the net yardage on that shot was like 20 yards because it shot all the way back. I was able to make a nice recovery here and stayed short of this bunker. So third shot was able to still get up there close, and hopefully I'm able to get up and down here for a bogey. But overall, yeah, back to the tournament. Just the Masters, I feel like such an exciting time of the year. It feels like the true start to the golf season, and there's a lot of excitement around it. A lot of people tune in, whether you're avid golf watchers or you're just a casual fan who, so here I'm looking at Hovland's score. He's on 12 right now, and he's 5 under. Not for the day, he's just currently 5 under. So he's going to end up, I think, parring 12. And then he'll have 13 to 18 if he can go like another 4 under. He could potentially find himself in contention. There's a lot of guys, because these ending tee times, like Rory's tee time, these 2:30 start tee times, some of these guys could go 2 or 3 over. And that just drops everyone right back into the field here. But here on the 18th hole, right there, I tried to hit like a kind of like a slice around the tree, and just smacked into the tree. But I thought I hit a pretty good shot here. I needed to carry it like 5 more yards, and it would have rolled out a little bit past the hole, but definitely would have been on. Now I'm pulling my best Bryson DeChambeau right here. Just can't get out of the bunker. So wrapping up here with the end of this video, as I'm going to be hitting these final putts. Like I said, at the end you can pause and see the bottom of the screen. I'm going to keep doing this for the majors. I'm going to try to get out and play around the time that these majors are going on. I'm going to try to play the course in the tour-like settings, and just see what I can shoot. I think it's a fun idea, and I'm going to keep going to the simulators throughout the summer. It's kind of mentioned before in a previous video. So I finished 32 over here. But I mentioned before in a previous video that it's a good way just to get some extra practice in, but also a quick way to get videos out. But overall, thank you for watching. If you stayed this long, like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.